Welcome to Be Positively Powerful, Overcoming Trauma Through a Focus on Resilience and Empowerment. This is the second video, Be Positively Powerful Strategies to Increase Resilience. To tell you a little bit of history about how I came upon the identification of the Be Positively Powerful strategies. And the story really kind of started in 2007 when my book, actually 2006, when I wrote my book that was published in 2007 on cyberbullying and cyber threats. And what I discovered when I was putting this book together is really a recognition that the rules and consequences approach that was and still is, unfortunately, being used by schools to address concerns in the digital environment where schools aren't making rules, adults aren't present, and students are not likely to report simply wasn't going to be effective. Into the issues of bullying far more extensively in my other video series, Engage Students to Embrace Civility. The data since that time, including the Youth Risk Behavior Survey, clearly demonstrates that what educators are doing to address bullying is not working in person in schools either. We always tell students who are being bullied, which is trauma, we tell them to tell an adult. Will they? And if they do, will telling adult make things better? Well, this is an important research study from Youth Voice Research. And they asked students who were bullied, feeling distressed, whether or not they told an adult at school, and if they told, whether things got better, stayed the same, or got worse. So as you can see, the level of effectiveness of a tell an adult will help things get better is really quite low, about 10% actually. It's also important to consider developmental factors. Starting around fourth grade, as kids are starting to edge into prepuberty and then definitely in puberty, there is increasingly less adult supervision. The hurtful behavior of students becomes much less obvious. They're far more subtle in their ability to be hurtful. They're developing their own personal identity. They desire greater personal control and are on a quest for independence. This all translates to the fact that they want to resolve their relationship challenges independently. I started looking into research on how can we stop bullying behavior. Some young people who engage in bullying are at risk. They have other risk behaviors that cause us significant concerns. These young people have also likely been bullied, so they are responding they're being triggered and being hurtful. The fight responds to being triggered. So these students are not empowered. However, the primary source of those who bully are students who are seeking social dominance and status. These are popular, competent, socially skilled young people who are compliant to staff. These young people are empowered and are not at risk. So we have to have other strategies to influence them to stop bullying, which I address significantly in my other video series. We also have to consider who gets bullied. The children who are at greatest risk of being bullied generally are perceived as different, weak, unable to defend themselves, have low self esteem, aren't popular, have few friends, don't get along well, or may have these characteristics. The students who are most likely to be bullied are students with disabilities, LGBTQ plus students, those who are overweight or have other physical issues, and those who have a different race, native origin, or religion. And as we can tell from the first video, there's a lot of trauma associated simply with these identity characteristics. So, what I concluded from very extensive research in bullying is that we've got this myth going around, which is that adults are in control of how students treat each other. And this is absolutely a myth. We have to empower students. We have to empower them to effectively maintain positive relationships and respond effectively when things go wrong. And this response has to be either as the one who was treated badly, the one who was hurtful, or a witness. So this was a really helpful study by my friends Samir Hinduja and Justin Patchen. And the results of their study, what they did is they had students complete a resilience assessment. And what their results showed was that resilience is a potent protective factor, both in preventing experience with bullying and mitigating its effects. Now, I will note that I was telling them about resilience before they accomplished the study, but we are absolutely on the same page. So I came into the study of trauma from the perspective of cyberbullying. So bullying, but also bullying in an environment where adults have no control or influence. So these are some of my basic underlying perspectives. Being bullied is a form of trauma that causes significant harm. Students who have experienced trauma also are more often bullied and may engage in bullying. Students who have greater resilience are less frequently bullied and are more effective in responding when they are. And students who have greater resilience are likely to be less frequently engaged in bullying. So, this is a very close relationship. Increasing student resilience can have a beneficial impact on improving student relationships, and improving student relationships can have a beneficial impact on increasing student resilience. My quest for insight. How can we increase youth resilience and empowerment? I was working on resources for students, and one of the section of the resources was strategies for students who are being bullied to keep their personal power, be positively powerful. That's the first use of positively powerful that I made was in this program. Then I made an interesting jump because I discovered donkeys. And actually, I'm setting up a program to use donkeys for resilience and empowerment coaching for young people who have challenges. What I discovered about donkeys was really quite fun. Donkeys evolved in rocky terrain. So, unlike horses, who, if stressed, go into flight, what they do if something strange happens and they get afraid is they stop, stay calm, stand tall, and think things through. Okay, so I thought that's pretty cool because that's exactly what we want young people who have triggered to do. Stop and stay calm, stand tall, and think things through. And I also discovered that donkeys have four other traits that actually tie with my I am positively powerful strategy on bullying. That is, they connect with friends, they reach out to be kind, they actually like to learn new things and build their strengths, and they are very thankful, especially if you bring carrots or scratch them on their withers. So, the first version of these 7 strengths appeared in my book, The Way of the Donkey. Back and talk about the healthy response system. This is a slide that was in the first video. If there's danger, the amygdala will recognize the situation. The hippocampus will know that there's a concern because of memories of past situations. The anterior cingulate cortex will effectively regulate the emotional response, and the prefrontal cortex will allow for effective problem solving. Now, this is a healthy response. So, if a young person has greater resilience, the dangers of hurtful treatment or other challenges will still be present. But with greater resilience, they will be less likely to flip their lid, thus avoiding these responses fight, flight, freeze, or fawn, which very often are the reward for someone who is being hurtful. And we also know when young people experience trauma, including bullying, this can result in negative neural pathways, which causes them to overreact to new situations. But resilience strategies can engage them in actions that can develop positive neural pathways. And this is possible because of neuroplasticity. The three key sources of insight that I have relied on include trauma informed practices, positive psychology, and self determination theory. As I indicated in the first video, these are the key sources of insight on trauma and trauma informed practices. The Harvard Center in the previous slide has a lot of excellent resources on resilience. I also found incredible resources from the University of Pennsylvania Positive Psychology Center and the Greater Good Science Center. Both of these programs are focused on the study of strengths that allow people to thrive, be resilient, and create a compassionate society. I believe the self determination theory is also really important. Now, this was written about in a book by Daniel Pink entitled Drive. He's not the one who created this theory. Under this theory, there are three primary motivations for human behavior. First is connections, positive connections with important others. The second is competencies, effective skills in areas of perceived importance. And the last is control, personal autonomy, and choice. So, right before the pandemic, I created this set of 7 Be Positively Powerful strategies, which, if you look closely, are very similar to the way of the donkey. These strategies are make positive connections, reach out to be kind, use my strengths, focus on the good, be mindful, keep my personal power, and think things through. In fall 2019, I wrote and published Be Positively Powerful, a guide for teens on achieving resilience and empowerment. This supports teens in both gaining resilience and forming positive interpersonal relationships. Then, during the pandemic, I wrote Be Positively Powerful, Resilient When Things Get Tough, which covers just those 7 resilience strategies. This is for younger students, and a Spanish translation, and created these video resources, and am in the process of revising my student leadership program to incorporate resilience strategies as well as positive relationship strategies. So we need to start by talking about youth brains, especially teen brains. Teen brains are under construction. So don't think in terms of deficiency. Their brains are performing exactly how they need to perform to prepare them for successful adult life. And as they become teenagers, this includes taking risks, which involves explorations and experiences that allow their brains to prepare for successful adult life, and also a quest for independence. Learning not to rely on adults is essential for success as an adult. What this means is that teens, especially, have a greater tendency to act without thinking. Their prefrontal cortex is still a work in progress until well into their 20s. So they are not always thinking clearly because the brain isn't fully developed. They also may lack experience if they are in a new situation, and their amygdala can take charge if they're upset. They may also fail to recognize what others are thinking or the ability to predict the consequences of their actions because their brain is gaining in this capacity. In addition, they are highly motivated to gain peer acceptance because they're separating from their family to become a member of peers. However, they may seek attention from peers in ways that are pretty outrageous, and they may play follow the leader by doing what a strong peer or a group of peers are doing. This all means that they are inclined to take risks. So we can help them be mindful, think things through, and make sure that they remedy any harm if they have made a mistake. They want independence. They don't want to be lectured to or told what to do. They are more likely to act without thinking. So we must seek to empower their ability and inclination to think things through to decide what to do. They also have challenges interpreting the thinking of others or the possible consequences of their actions. This requires having good friends so that they can learn what others are thinking, being mindful, and thinking things through. And they are highly motivated by peers, which means we have to use peer leadership strategies to communicate with them. So these are the Be Positively Powerful strategies, research-based strategies that can help you achieve resilience and empowerment. This is a slide from a youth slideshow, and you will be able to tell that this is a slide from the slideshow because the image up in the upper left corner will have that slide. This slideshow is being upgraded graphically and with better cartoons. This is the magic formula. Uh, we have to think in terms of strategies and inform young people to rewire the neurons in their brain to achieve greater resilience and not flip their lids requires a consistent focus on the positive. 5 positives for every negative. That's the magic formula. To implement the Be Positively Powerful strategies requires some advanced planning, daily practice, and it's very helpful to do journaling. So, advanced planning is assessing your resilience and identifying your resources. Daily practice is what you'll do every day. And as I said, it's advised that students keep a daily journal. One strategy that I recommend is using a resilience scale to assess their current resilience. Engage in practice daily and keep a journal implementing these strategies for 40 days, and then in 40 days assess their resilience again. This will help demonstrate to them the positive power of these powerfully positive strategies. This is a resilience assessment that I have included in my books. Strategy. Make positive connections. I make positive connections with good friends and trusted adults. So, as you will note, the little logo up is not up in the corner, so this is information for you. Students who are more often treated badly are generally not very popular and have few friends. However, having even one friend can provide significant emotional protection if you're being treated badly. Students who have a significant desire for popularity may be hurtful to show off for their friends, so there are some downsides to friendships. Friends will support their friend, so if somebody's being hurtful to their friend, they're likely or more likely to be supportive of their friend. However, if their friend is being hurtful to others, they're also, unfortunately, more likely to support their friend. Interacting with friends is the number one most important thing that we need to allow to engage students to develop empathy. This is how they learn to recognize what others are thinking. Don't think in terms of showing them pictures of other young people uh, and ask them to say, well, what is this child feeling? That's not how they learn empathy. They learn empathy through interactions with others. Students tend to become friends with someone who is at a similar step on the school's social ladder and who has similar interests. So it's that similar interests focus that we can use to help young people make friends. Ask them to do something that they enjoy doing, and in the context of that, hopefully they will make a good friend. How can we encourage better friendships? Pay close attention to the students who don't have friends, um, and and take specific steps to help them form relationships with students who are at around their same social level who have similar interests. Pay attention to what you're doing with seating and in project teams. Seek to support communications between students who are more likely to become friends. I really strongly recommend against the use of behavior charts or token rewards because the students who have challenges are very often not to get rewards or to get, negative signage, red cards on the wall. And this leads to other students avoiding being friends with them. Also, within the school, seek to flatten the social ladder by increasing student voice. The more your school functions as a democratic community and not an authoritarian hierarchy, the greater the number of students who will be at a similar step on the social ladder and thus be someone with whom you can be friends. Connections with trusted adults are absolutely imperative. This is a statement on the website from the Center on the Developing Child at Harvard University. The single most common factor for children who develop resilience is at least one stable and committed relationship with a supportive parent, caregiver, or other adult. These are the relationships that provide them with the ability to plan, monitor, regulate their behavior, and enable them to respond adaptively to adversity. Also from Harvard is the Making Caring Common project. The Graduate School of Education has this project, and they have a relationship mapping strategy. I strongly advise every school do this relationship mapping strategy and ensure that at least one, and for any child who's at greater risk, two or three staff members are matched to that child and take time every week to reach out to that child and check on how they are doing. Make sure that they are okay. This is an absolute, really top notch service and strategy. What do young people need most from adults? What they need is someone who will truly listen to them. So encourage students to share by being very attentive when they are talking. Reflective listening is really important. Respond back to them when they're trying to communicate to you, addressing both their emotion and the facts. You appear to be feeling, name the emotion, because name what's happening. Continue reflective listening until the student appears to feel that they have been totally heard. Also, they need adults to see their strengths and encourage them to believe in themselves, and to help them plan for a positive future. Lastly, they need adults to assist them in thinking things through to decide what to do. They do not need adults telling them what they think they should do. This has to be an assistance for problem solving, not do what I say. This is information for students. Good friends. Having good friends makes me feel good about myself and have support when facing challenges. The best way to make new friends is by engaging in activities I enjoy. The biggest barrier to making friends is fear of failure. So I can just relax and have fun getting to know others. Sometimes friendships are going to end, and I will have to walk away. This is sad, but unfortunately will happen. You can engage in some advanced planning. Ask these questions of yourself. Who are my current friends? How am I connecting with my friends? What interests do we share? What are the strengths of these friendships? How can we build on these strengths? Do I want to make some new friends? How can I do this? And then daily activity and journaling. Write in my journal. What friends did I have a positive connection with today? And how did this make me feel? Also for students, trusted adults. Trusted adults can provide support at times I may be facing challenges and for the positive times. A trusted adult is someone who I can talk with about anything, I can feel safe sharing a serious concern with, and will help me think things through to decide what to do, not dictate their solution. Again, advanced planning. Ask these questions. What trusted adults do I connect with? How am I connecting with these trusted adults? Do I want to form a connection with another trusted adult? And how can I do this? Also, daily activity and journaling. Write in my journal. What trusted adults did I have a positive connection with today? And how did this make me feel? Strategy. Reach out to be kind. I will reach out to be kind to others. I absolutely love the website of the Random Acts of Kindness Foundation. This is some of the research they've presented. When you are kind, this increases oxytocin. Being kind produces the hormone oxytocin, which increases self-esteem and optimism. Being kind increases pleasure. When you're kind to another person, your brain's pleasure and reward centers light up as if you were the recipient of the good deed, not the giver. Being kind increases lifespan. People who volunteer tend to experience fewer aches and pains and have a lower likelihood of dying early. Being kind increases energy. After helping others, people report feeling stronger, more energetic, calmer, less depressed, and they have increased feelings of self-worth. And also, being kind increases serotonin. This is the hormone that helps to heal wounds, calms you down, and makes you happy. Being kind decreases pain. Engaging in acts of kindness produces endorphins, which are the brain's natural painkiller. Being kind decreases stress and aging. Perpetually kind people have less cortisol, the stress hormone, and age more slowly than the average population. Being kind decreases anxiety and social avoidance. Also decreases depression. When we give of ourselves, depression is reduced. Well-being and good fortune are increased. And being kind reduces blood pressure, which young people are probably not that concerned about, but it's helpful for us to know. Being kind can also increase peer acceptance. Now, this is a study that I think is exceptionally important if you're working with any student who is having other students being hurtful to them. In this study, they took a group of classrooms and half of the students did some activity and the other half were instructed to reach out to be kind to others and at a really low level, 3 acts of kindness per week. I mean, we can do more than that. And then what they did is they assessed peer acceptance, both before and after. And the simple practice of intentionally reaching out to be kind actually really increased the students' peer level of peer acceptance. This study is critically important from the perspective of helping those who are being bullied. The very most important thing that they can do is consistently reach out to be kind to others every day. I strongly encourage every school to have a kindness leadership team. This should be a diverse student leadership team of students who have a known history of consistently being kind, not the popular students who want this for their resume. They need to be from all of the school's social groups. Encourage and support this team in leading the school in engaging in acts of kindness, and the Random Act of Kindness Foundation has a lot of suggestions. You can also just do a Google search for kindness in schools and find a lot of resources. Start this team now. This is especially with what's going on with the protests against equity. This is imperative. Again, these are slides for students. Being kind to others can increase their happiness and mine. Being kind to those who are treated badly or excluded will set me on a positive life of service to others and social justice. I recommend the copper penny technique. Put 5 copper pennies in my left pocket at the beginning of the day. Every time I'm kind to someone, transfer a penny to my right pocket and try to transfer all pennies each day. Every day, reach out to be kind to others at least 5 times. And then write in my journal, how did I reach out to be kind to others today? And how did this make me feel? Strategy. Use my strengths. I use my personal strengths every day. I build new strengths. I really, really love the VIA Institute on Character's website and their works on character strengths. The researchers um, uh, pulled together a group of distinguished social scientists from around the world who identified and classified the core strengths that lead to goodness in human beings across cultures, nations, and beliefs. We all have different strengths, and through research, they have found that intentionally using our strengths and building new strengths can lead to greater happiness. This is a graphic from the site, the VIA Institute on Character, that set forth the 24 character strengths. On this website, there is a character strengths survey, one for adults and one for teens. There are also just a significant amount of excellent resources for teens and schools on their site. There's a simplified survey that I've created with their permission that's in my book or on my website that will allow you to have students assess their character strengths. You can use the character strengths in classrooms. Have students create a personal image that sets forth a combination of their strengths. They could also do a hunt to find students who have the same strengths. Also, engage students in to focus on a new strength each week. I think this site could become the source of very excellent of what we would call social emotional learning. It's not a program, it's a site with resources. Just focus on a new strength each week and build activities. Have your student leadership team build activities around each new strength. It's also important to use my strengths with think things through. So if a student has a problem that they have to deal with, encourage them to think about strategies that use their identified personal strengths in responding to this strategy, and also rely on these strengths in community circles. Too often, community circles end up as bitch and moan kind of things and don't come to solutions. So when students identify a challenge, then ask them to propose strengths from this list of strengths that could be used to address this challenge, and then think of strategies to do so that use those identified strengths. Again, this is information for students. Use my strengths. Intentionally using my strengths and building new strengths can lead to greater happiness. Social scientists identified 24 core strengths that lead to goodness in human beings across cultures, nations, and beliefs. And we each have different strengths. When I use my strengths, this makes me happy. If I have a challenge, I can think things through to find a way to use my strengths. So, the way to use my strengths is to take the character strengths survey. Identify what are my 5 most important strengths. What are the strengths that I appreciate in others? What are the strengths I would like to develop? Then at the beginning of each day, pick a strength and use that strength during the day. In the evening, write in your journal. What strength did I use? How did I use this strength? What happened when I did? How did this make me feel? Again, for students, focus on the good. I focus on the good things happening in my life. I am thankful. The Greater Good Science Center has a marvelous selection on the science of gratitude. And also, I really like the book Hardwiring Happiness by Rick Hansen, and he has a lot of excellent resources on his site. The benefits of gratitude. More grateful people are happier, more satisfied with their lives, less materialistic, and less likely to suffer from burnout. More grateful teens are more interested in and satisfied with their school lives, are more kind and helpful, and are more socially integrated. Gratitude inspires people to be more generous, kind, helpful, and that strengthens personal relationships. As Rick Hansen has focused on, by intentionally focusing on the good, this can help rewire your brain to support your feeling more happiness. This is because of neuroplasticity. So the practices include noting and focusing on the good things that are happening, doing a gratitude journal, and writing letters of thanks. Information for students. By intentionally focusing on the good, I can achieve greater feelings of happiness. How do you focus on the good? Notice the good. Either notice that a good thing has happened or do something good for yourself. Enrich the good. Take the time to feel really happy. Absorb the good. Think about this good experience as being absorbed into your mind and warming your heart. And then appreciate the good. Send a note of thanks to someone who made me feel really good. I encourage students to try this experiment. Think about how happy they might be feeling right now. Not very happy, so, basically okay, or really happy. If they are feeling not very happy, so, or basically okay, do the following. Think about something that recently happened that made you happy, or do something for yourself. Take the time to think about this and to enrich and absorb the good feelings. Think about someone who did something that made you feel happy. Call, message, or write to this person thanking them. Now, think about how happy you feel. Strategy. Be mindful. I sit quietly and become calm. If things get tough, I remind myself to remain calm. There is also a significant amount of research on the benefits of mindfulness. I found this from Mindful Schools, which is one of the resources for educators on how to implement mindfulness practices. Mindfulness leads to improved attention, better performance on objective tasks that require extensive concentration. Mindfulness is associated with emotional regulation, creates changes in the brain that allow you to better self regulate. Mindfulness leads to greater compassion. People who have been engaged in mindfulness training are more likely to help someone in need. And mindfulness leads to a reduction of stress and anxiety, especially if you're in a stressful situation. Self regulation. There are significant concerns of young people who are unable to regulate in the classroom. We need to figure out what's going on in the classrooms that are causing them to trigger, as well as assist them in gaining greater self regulation skills. So, the 6 stages of triggering are you start when you're calm, and then there's a trigger. That then builds the stress until you reach the level of outburst. This is when they have flipped their lid. Following that is a period of confusion, recovery, and which then regains calmness. So basically, what we need to do is flatten the curve, a statement that we've been hearing a lot of recently. So, a strategy to help them self regulate. So, I've heard, well, you need to have teachers need to understand de escalation strategies. Yes, this is true. What teachers have to do is avoid tacos, threatening, arguing, challenging, ordering, and shaming. But most importantly, When these young people who are more apt to trigger are calm, we have to help them gain the skills to self regulate. So when they are calm, help them identify what may trigger them, and then collaboratively engage in problem solving with them about how the steps that they can take to remain calm, and after any triggering situation, discuss what happened and note successes or things that they can improve. But when they are getting triggered, it's not the focus is on what are the strategies that you have identified to help you remain calm. So every school absolutely has to regularly lead students in the practice of mindfulness. This has got to be imperative upon return to school, and assist students who have greater challenges with triggering to create a self regulation action plan for themselves. So, the self regulation action plan is to help them identify common triggers, help them recognize when they are becoming triggered, help them develop several strategies that they realize and recognize can be helpful in their self regulation. And then, if they've experienced triggering, evaluate the effectiveness of those strategies. This is a personal empowerment approach to addressing these concerns. So, information for young people: practice mindfulness. The practice of mindfulness helps me achieve calmness and focus. Take a seat and close my eyes. Breathe in slowly, then slowly let my breath out. If my mind wanders, gently return to thinking about my breath. Do this for at least a minute or longer. If you are someone, or you know someone, who sometimes triggers and engages in an outburst, it's helpful to know these 6 stages of triggering: calm, when everything's fine; trigger, when something happens that triggers a reaction; build, your distress builds; outburst, you reach outburst stage and lose control; confusion, the outburst has ended but you feel confused; and recovery, you recover until you regain calm. When I am able to self regulate after I trigger, I can remain in control. I can flatten the curve. Self regulation strategy: take these steps. Know what may trigger me, what frequently upsets me. At a time when I'm calm, think things through about how I can respond to typical situations that may trigger me. If I am triggered, remain calm by focusing on my breathing, remove myself from the situation, and take the other self regulation steps I identified. If I did trigger, after I become calm again, think things through about how I handled the situation and what improvements I can make. Note, this is an empowerment strategy. The adults are not de escalating the child is learning how to de escalate themselves. Keep my personal power. I stand tall and walk with pride. I do not allow what happens to control how I think about myself or respond. Keeping one's personal power requires standing tall. When students stand tall and walk with pride, this communicates that they feel they have a sense of their own personal power. There's a great TED Talk that I really encourage you to watch by Dr. Amy Cuddy. Your body language may shape who you are. It is possible to fake it to make it. So, by intentionally standing tall and walking with pride, can result in increased feelings of self confidence. So, try this, and I recommend you try it with your students. Feel small. Hold a physical posture where you are feeling small. Then stand tall. Hold a position with your hands held high above your head, feeling proud. And note the difference in how you feel. Teach your students to do this, and then remind them to stand tall and walk with pride. The second aspect of keeping your personal power involves controlling your thinking. And this is the rational emotive theory of Albert Ellis. And basically, we never have the ability to control what might happen to us. But we do have the ability to control how this makes us feel about ourselves and how we respond. This is the A plus B equals C model. A is the adversity. You can't control it. B is your belief, which you can control. And C is the consequence or the result. So, in private with students or in classroom discussions of negative incidents, discuss what happened. Can you control what happened? Can we control the pandemic? Nope. Anyway, can you control how you feel about yourself? Can you control how you respond? For students, stand tall. When I stand tall and walk with pride, I keep my personal power. Even if I am not feeling powerful, I can fake it by standing tall, and this will then help me feel more powerful. So, for an experiment, take these steps. First, feel small. Hold a physical position where you are feeling small and helpless. Now, stand tall. Hold a position with your hands held high over your head, feeling proud. Note the difference in how you feel. Realize that if you stand tall and walk with pride, you can keep your personal power. And control your thinking. I cannot control what happens to me. I can control how I feel about myself, and I can control how I respond. So this is A plus B equals C. A is the adversity that I cannot control. B is my belief that I can control, and C is the consequence. So when I control my thinking, if something bad happens, I will think to myself, I choose not to give anyone or anything that happens the power to control how I feel about myself or respond. Strategy. Think things through. I think things through to decide what to do. I create goals and plan my actions. There are two strategies that I've relied on the problem solving. One is the I Can Problem Solve resources created by Dr. Schur, and I think these are excellent. And I think problem solving needs to be incorporated into all of the school's work. Um, some of the key points that she makes is to effectively problem solve requires perspective taking, the awareness and sensitivity to other people's feelings. Alternative solution thinking, the ability to generate a variety of solutions to interpersonal problems. And consequential thinking, the ability to recognize the impact of one's behavior on others in light of what might happen next. The other source of insight is collaborative problem solving, which has basically two centers that work on this. Young people with challenging behavior do not lack the will to behave well, they lack the skills to behave well. So the goal is to establish a collaborative process between school staff and the student or adult parent and child to assist the young person in problem solving and developing such skills. I also really like the work of Dr. Vilhauer in future directed therapy. Think forward to thrive. This is a psychological approach based on the understanding that the brain operates in future-oriented way. And so depression can occur when we don't expect positive things in the future, and anxiety can occur when we expect too many negative things. So the emphasis is help people learn how to think effectively about what they are trying to achieve in life, and as a result, create more positive experiences. The think things through strategy are these steps. Describe what is the situation. Identify what do I want to accomplish. Think about what strategies could I use, and then assess, is each strategy in accord with my values, and does each use my strengths? And then think about consequences for each strategy, what might happen. Then, based on that analysis, identify what's my best first choice and how should I proceed. Then, after you've taken some steps to implement the strategy, assess, did this work? And evaluate, what else could or should I do? Then, to focus on the future, create goals and plan actions. To create goals that I want to achieve because they're important to me. Make sure those goals are specific and something I can do. Put my goals in writing in my journal and make sure it's going to be clear when I've met my goal. Think things through to identify the steps necessary and decide what needs to happen first and then next. And then evaluate the effectiveness of my actions and revise my plan as necessary. Next, we're going to talk about an implementation strategy in schools. Engage your students to think things through in advanced planning. Identify their important friends and trusted adults and make plans to maintain frequent contact. Identify their character strengths using the VIA Institute for Character survey. And for those who may need assistance in self-regulation, identify what might make them feel distressed or might trigger them and make a plan for what to do. Engage in these daily practices. Make a positive connection with a friend or a trusted adult every day. Reach out to be kind 5 times or more every day. Use my strengths. Use one strength and build a new strength. Focus on the good. Pay attention to 5 good things that happened and send one thank you message. Be mindful. Practice mindfulness. Keep my personal power. Start the day and throughout the day, stand tall and walk with pride. Think things through. Decide what actions to take to achieve a goal. You can encourage your students to keep a journal and record. With whom did you connect and how did this make you feel? To whom did you reach out to be kind and how did this make you feel? How did you use your strength and how did this make you feel? What 5 things happened today that allowed you to focus on the good? Did you take steps to be mindful, remain calm? How did this work and what did you learn? Did you keep your personal power and think things through to address any challenge? How did this work and what did you learn? You can actually just implement this as a group practice in a community circle or small group discussions with your students. Ask them respond. With whom did you make a positive connection and how did this make you feel? To whom did you reach out to be kind and how did this make you feel? How did you use your strengths and how did this make you feel? What happened today that allowed you to focus on the good? This is a Be Positive mindfulness practice that you can use that integrates all of these 7 strategies. So, encourage your students to be mindful by taking deep breaths and releasing to let go of any stress. Then encourage them to think about someone who they love and just make a mental positive connection with that person. Then ask them to send positive thoughts to someone who they want to support. And in this way, they are reaching out to be kind. Then think about how you recently used your strengths in a way that made you feel proud. Focus on the good by thinking about something joyful that recently happened. Think things through to identify a goal you want to accomplish. And then keep your personal power by standing tall, raising your hands, and thinking to yourself or saying out loud, I've got this. If things are tough for a student, engage in reflective listening. Give their feeling a name. I am feeling, and then describe why they are feeling this way. Because. So you engage in this reflective listening until they have a real in-depth understanding of how they're feeling and why they're feeling this way. Then the next step is to determine whether there are any actions that they can address to address why they are feeling in this way. And if there are some actions that they can take, help them to think things through to create an action plan. But if there are no actions that they can take to address the why, then shift to thinking about what they can do to address the feeling. So even though that something is happening, how can they become more happy? And again, think things through so that how they can become more happy. I wanted to give you some additional insight from other authorities, especially those that I focused on in the area of intergenerational trauma. Healing the Hidden Wounds of Racial Trauma is a really helpful article. You can find it just by searching for the title. The strategies that he recommends are affirmation and acknowledgement, convey acceptance of the premise that race is a critical organizing principle in our society, create space for race, take a proactive role in encouraging conversations about race, racial storytelling, invite young people to tell stories of racial experiences where they were treated differently or where they felt proud, and validation, validating the untapped hero within them. Continuing his suggestions, the process of naming, affix words to racial based experiences, address externalized devaluation, recognize that devaluation and disrespect are directly connected to race and racial oppression. And so then counteract these devaluations, provide an array of resources that help build their strength and provide a buffer against future assaults to their dignity and sense of self. And rechanneling rage, help young people become aware, gain control, and redirect their rage to discover what is great about themselves. This insight has been provided for how to heal Native student wounds. Reframe. Reframe the psychological, social, environmental, and physiological concerns that plague many Native people as signs and symptoms of a communal reaction to generations of persecution, discrimination, and oppression. Validate the existence of initial historical losses that occurred and the continued discrimination and oppression. Enhance their awareness about the impact of historical trauma, the associated grief and loss about what did occur, and how this may be impacting them today. And help them understand that historical trauma permeates all domains of their existence, including their personal identity, interpersonal relationships, collective memory, cultural and spiritual worldviews. I the For Native Americans, an approach that is grounded in the medicine wheel model of wellness, balance, and healing could be very helpful. I personally think this could be very helpful for all young people. The four directions of the medicine wheel are spiritual: a sense of connectedness with other creations of the Great Spirit; physical, air, water, food, clothing, shelter, exercise, and sex; emotional, recognition, acceptance, understanding, love, privacy, discipline, and limits; intellectual, concepts, ideas, thoughts, habits, and discipline; and in the center is will. The Salud America recommends this approach for healing Latino student wounds, a social cohesion approach using a whole school, whole community, whole child approach that incorporates community engagement, school staff education, school family connection to address multiple factors influencing the mental health of Latino children. Sensitivity, ensuring interventions and policies for Latino children are sensitive to the issues specific to this community, including acculturation, immigration-related factors, bullying, and discrimination. Language, ensure access to Spanish-speaking professionals. I really like this work by Dr. Rosen, creating trauma-informed individualized education programs. integrating ACEs into the development of IEPs for students through grade 12. So, a trauma informed assessment will consider the impact of trauma through the entire process from referral, interpretation, regardless of the primary referral concern. Such assessments should include what are the potential triggers? What's the family history and functioning? What are students' strengths and how can these be incorporated into intervention plans? What are the practitioner and educator perceptions at the point of referral? What is the process for building rapport and trust with the student? How can the student be involved in the IEP meetings if that's developmentally appropriate? What is the impact of experiences on performance? And what predictable life events may be occurring when planning assessments or any other activities related to this student? Continuing, trauma-informed IEP goals and services would identify and reduce or prevent triggers, increase predictability in the student's environment, build in opportunities for that student to be able to assist others, build in peer supports and relationships, engage in collaborative and ambitious goal setting, and focus on movement and sensory opportunities. This is the approach to use the Be Positively Powerful strategies to foster positive relationships. These are addressed both in my book, Be Positively Powerful, A Guide for Teens to Achieve Resilience and Empowerment, and the new Be Positively Powerful student leadership program that focuses on resilience and positive relationships. These are the chapters in the book, Be Positively Powerful, A Guide for Teens on Achieving Resilience and Empowerment. Your Marvelous Brain, the Be Positively Powerful Strategies, Positively Powerful Prevention and Response Strategies to Reduce the Likelihood Others Will Treat You Badly and Effectively Respond if This Happens. Stop on it and fix it. Not being hurtful to others and fixing things if you were. Positively powerful close personal relationships, enhancing your important relationships in a positively powerful way. Be positively powerful online, positive engagement when using digital media, and powerfully positive leadership, being a helpful ally and a leader for positive change. Positively powerful strategies to reduce the potential others might treat you badly. Make positive connections with good friends and trusted adults who will provide you with support. Reach out to be kind to others every day to improve your relationships. Use your strengths daily to increase your feelings of personal power, which will reduce the likelihood of your being treated badly. Focus on the good to create neural pathways to increase your happiness and reduce the power of others to make you feel bad. Be mindful to reduce the potential you will overreact. Keep your personal power to reduce the potential others will treat you badly because they perceive you lack personal power. And think things through to reduce the likelihood you will engage in actions that might result in somebody treating you badly. Use these strategies to respond effectively if somebody treats you badly. Be mindful and self-regulate to avoid an overreaction. Keep your personal power by standing tall and controlling your thinking so the one who is being hurtful cannot take your power from you. Think things through and use your strengths to decide how to immediately respond. Then make a positive connection with a friend or trusted adult to gain support and assistance in thinking things through to determine what else might need to be done that will use your strengths. Document what happened to keep your personal power and ensure a positive resolution, and then focus on the good and reach out to be kind to shift how you are feeling. Using the Be Positively Powerful strategies to stop yourself from being hurtful. Make positive connections with friends and adults who support positive relationships and do not support your being hurtful. Consistently reach out to be kind to shift the manner you are treating others. Use your strengths so you do not feel you have to be hurtful to gain power over others. Focus on the good to increase your feelings of happiness and well-being. Be mindful so you do not overreact in a hurtful way if you are upset. Keep your personal power so you do not feel the need to seek to take power from others, and think things through to identify if you are making excuses for being hurtful and to figure out how to remedy the harm. And be positively powerful strategies to own it and fix it if you were hurtful. Make a positive connection with a friend or trusted adult who can help you think things through to determine whether you are making excuses for being hurtful or you overreacted to a situation in a negative way. Keep your personal power by accepting personal responsibility for the mistakes you made. Think things through to determine how you can use your strengths to remedy the harm you have caused to another, and make a commitment to increase your actions in reaching out to be kind to others as a way of remedying the harm that you caused to your community. Positively powerful strategies to be a helpful ally. Reach out to be kind and make a positive connection by providing support to someone who's been treated badly, helping others resolve conflict, and helping a friend who is having a difficult time. Be mindful, keep your personal power, think things through, and use your strengths when stepping into any situation to help someone who is currently being treated badly leave the situation, or when telling someone who is being hurtful to stop. Make a positive connection with a friend who is being hurtful to help your friend stop, own it, and fix it. And if your friend will not stop, own it, and fix it, walk away. Think things through to identify serious situations that need to be reported to an adult who can help. And be positively powerful strategies to be a leader in fostering positive community. Make positive connections with others in your school or community who want to work for social justice and foster positive relationships. Consistently reach out to be kind and encourage others to do so also. Use your strengths individually or as part of a team to engage in activities that build positive community. Encourage your community to focus on the good as a way of increasing positive energies. Be mindful and keep your personal power when you are supporting others and making a demand for social justice. Work with others to think things through to determine the best ways you can proceed to achieve social justice and positive relations. Thank you for listening to video 2 in the series Be Positively Powerful, Overcoming Trauma through a Focus on Resilience and Empowerment.